Welcome to another Q&A. This Q&A is just a general discussion about out-of-round poles and circular poles. Pardon me. So the Over 8 and the Unger have gone with out-of-round poles, and the rest of the industry has stayed with circular poles. And obviously we've been looking at out-of-round poles for years, right? Because if you go back 10 years, then an out-of-round pole was something that you would want to have, right? So that we were all thinking about how to do that. And Over 8 kind of led the way in that. And so there may be other benefits, but this is just basically talking about rotational torque, right? From a rotational torque perspective, the reason why everybody wanted an out-of-round pole is because in the old days we would agitate and then we would take the brush off the glass and then we would rinse, right? So if you weren't too high, then you'd rinse like this and you'd chase the dirty water off the glass like that, and with pencil jets as a rule, right? But if you were up higher or you had any injury or anything like that, then you would take the brush to the frame and then you would twist the pole, right? And you would squirt the jets across the glass like that, and then come down and come down and come down and come down. And so you'd basically be using the pencil jets to try and chase the dirty water off the glass by twisting the pole and leaving it resting against the frame, giving you less load on your core and your control muscles, right? So when we designed Constructor Brush, we realized that we didn't need an out-of-round pole because when you're doing this, there's a huge rotational torque on the clamp, right? So the clamp is a mechanical lock squeezing on a circle, and so there's a tendency, if it's a circle on a circle, to want to spin, right? So one of the things that we designed in against that is the arrow lock. So you'll see in every breech pole, you see all the clamps always line up because there's an arrow lock in here. So we might add a little close-up of that. And then you can see all the clamps locked together. However, when they're extended, you would still have this risk that the pole would slip, and then you're slipping, and then you're slipping, and like that. So if you have an out-of-round pole, then it's not going to slip, right? But when we develop Constructor Brush, and now we've perfected it with Radial Brush, what happens is that when we apply a twisting action with our wrist, the brush swivels, yeah? So there is no load on the mechanical circular lock. So there's the amount of rotational torque is completely minimized, and remembering that there's water running under the brush, so there's a surfactant basically acting as a surfactant, for the brush on the glass. So there's no resistance from the brush, as far as, rotating like this, and so therefore there's no load on the clamp. And if there's no load on the clamp, then you can stay with a circular pole, and Bob's your uncle, you're fine, right? So that's from the point of view of, and other than that, there may be other topics, and you may want to raise them, and do that in the comments below, and we can do another Q&A on any other topics of out-of-round versus round, and any benefits if you have an out-of-round pole. That's fine by us, by the way, because you can connect a Radial Brush to any pole. So it can be to an Unger, or to a Over 8, or to a Gardner, or to a Tucker, or to one of the home brand labels that some of the resellers have got, So yeah, the most important thing is that there is no load. You can buy a circular pole or an out-of-round pole. You can use a Radial Brush, so you're going to be efficient if you prefer that. However, there is nothing wrong with a circle pole if you are using a Radial Brush, right? Because there's no limited rotational torque. As soon as you twist it, the brush is going to turn. You twist it the other way, the brush will turn the other way. That's the total sum load of rotational torque, being expressed as an axle, between the wrist and the brush, going like that. Okay, so it's a good topic. All right, that's all I'm going to say on this one. I will see you in the next one.